Tonight, it's been 10 days since a train derailed in East Palestine, Ohio, and emergency crews unleashed a controlled release and burn of toxic chemicals to prevent a potentially deadly explosion. Now, some residents who have returned home and this morning sent their kids back to school worry it may be too soon. How do you feel about being home? Do you feel safe?
There's mixed emotions. We're being told that things are safe, but it's just deep down you feel like, how can things already be back at a level where we can be back to normal?
Columbiana County has been monitoring East Palestine's groundwater. Is the environment there safe?
We've had no indication there's been any impacts that could relate to health or safety of our residents.
Still, some residents worry about the potential long-term impact of such a huge derailment and chemical release in the years to come.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering. A whole lot of news today as I careen closer and closer to my first day off vacation in 12 years. I want to thank everyone for supporting, for joining as a new member. I did a members only video yesterday, and I decided as I try to push this, every time we reach our goal, I'll do a new members only video. I've got a pretty good one in my mind today. So we're at 24, so I'll leave a link in the description to sign up. I would greatly appreciate it. Of course, Coffee Brand Coffee has a huge sale today. Promo code SWEET to save. If you haven't tried our coffee, definitely head on over to coffeebrandcoffee.com. We've got brand new flavor, hazelnut churro. Our super high seller, blueberry cobbler. We've got salted caramel, French toast. We've got all non-flavored coffees. We've got K-Cups. We've got a dozen organic teas, and that goes directly to supporting the channel as well, and helps make covering these type of spicy topics a little easier. So appreciate your support. Now, a new report says that the train that in fact was derailed in Ohio carried more toxic chemicals than initially reported. Now, make no mistake about it, the reason we're hearing about this right now, the reason you and I are hearing about this right now is because of you. Because you are out there sharing these videos, you're pounding the pavement, you're asking the questions. In my opinion, our government and especially the mainstream media and news were 110% fine letting the story just disappear. Now suddenly a whole new wave of mystery illnesses and all this kind of stuff coming up as the United States is really in the midst of its mini Chernobyl incident here. I think government officials were 100% fine letting this just affect whoever it was going to affect and not cover it. It's absolutely appalling. The train that derailed in a small Ohio town was carrying more toxic chemicals than initially reported. It has been revealed as officials Monday announced at a town hall meeting to discuss the catastrophe would take place later in the week. The community of East Palestine was rocked by February 3rd derailment that forced the evacuation of hundreds of residents before authorities conducted a controlled burn of Norfolk Southern Railroad train cars' chemicals to stop a potential explosion. Except all that happened now is it just turned it all into gas and blasted it into our atmosphere. Where are you at, environmentalists, right? Toxins like volatile vinyl chloride as well as phosgene and hydrogen chloride were known to be aboard, but other toxins were also in the cars of the train traveling from Illinois to Pennsylvania. The additional chemicals released into your breathing air and soil after the fire crash include ethylene glycol monobutyl ether, ethahexyl acrylate, and isobutylene, according to the outlet citing the U.S. EPA. The chemicals all pose various health risks to people who come in contact with them. For instance, exposure to ethylene glycol monobutyl either can lead to irritation of the eyes, nose, and throat, skin, as well as blood in areas it shouldn't be, nervous system, depression, according to Centers for Disease Control. Evacuation orders ended last week for East Palestine. Residents in some nearby Pennsylvania households in the vicinity of the derailment after air and water samples were collected and found to be safe. The EPA said Monday evening it had not found any worrisome levels of toxins in the air and can that can be blamed on the crash since the controlled burn of the toxins was done last week. The community air monitoring would continue 24 hours daily. Another 181 homes still need to be scanned, except there's more and more pictures. And it's like, why is ABC News finally saying this? Oh, by the way, there were far more chemicals on the train than we previously reported. No big deal. Trust the source. That's why I appreciate all of you subscribing. There's a button down below wherever you're watching on Rumble, YouTube, Odyssey, or BitChute. Glad to have you. How about this article? Don't tell me it's safe. Residents of East Palestine express fears about returning after it's revealed that there were, in fact, more toxic chemicals on derailed Ohio train than originally thought, and thousands of livestock have now passed away. Thousands. 50 cars, 10 including hazardous materials, were involved in the crash. Thousands. I mean, how do they keep telling us that this is okay? Isn't there a reason, isn't there a guy in charge of this? The diversity hire, Pete Buttigieg? Where's he at? Oh yeah, he's worried about too many white people in construction jobs. Don't tell me it's safe. Kathy Reese, who lives in Negley, Ohio, just north of East Palestine, told WPXI of Pittsburgh last week, something is going on if the fish are floating in the creek. Officials with Ohio Department of Natural Resources have said that the chemical spill related to the train derailment killed an estimated 3,500 small fish across 7.5 miles of streams. Meanwhile, one resident of North Lima, more than 10 miles away, said her 5 hens and rooster all passed away suddenly after the train operator in Norfolk Southern burned the cars that were carrying vinyl chloride, a known carcinogen. Jenna Giannios, 39, a wedding photographer in nearby Boardman, said she has had a persistent cough for the past week and a half. She'd only been drinking bottled water and is uncomfortable using the tap water to even bathe. 100% understand why she feels that way. By the way, we all know who owns these trains. They should be paying, first of all the human and livestock and animals in these areas, they should be paying to relocate them. Whatever it costs, that's on them. This is their problem that they caused. On top of enormous fines for God knows what kind of further damage is done. They only evacuated 1 mile from the space. That's just insane to me, she said, who set up a Facebook page for residents to vent their frustrations. I'm concerned with the long-term health impact, she added. It's just a mess. Sil Caggiano, a hazardous materials specialist and former fire department chief, also said he was surprised residents were allowed to return home so quickly before all of their homes were even tested. I would have far rather they did the testing first, she said. There's a lot of what ifs we're going to be looking at 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line. And wondering, gee, cancer clusters could just pop up, well water could go bad. He added, we basically nuked the town with chemicals so we could get a railroad open. He's talking to the, quickly doing the controlled burn. And, this is the result of that. The chemical smell still lingers in the area as some residents refuse to return home. I don't blame them. I was watching the coverage last night and there was no less than a dozen mentions of Trump in all of this, by the way. What do you expect people to do? Just go home and breathe it all in because you said so? Others have taken matters into their own hands, with managers of Kindred Spirits Rescue Ranch evacuating 77 of their largest animals, including yak and zebu, for the last 2 years. We could see a plume come up over us. Our eyes were burning, and my face could feel it. And the Ohio Farm Bureau Federation is urging its members to get water from their local wells tested immediately. There's some level of frustration out there among farmers, the organization's director, Nick Kennedy, said. They want answers. Their livelihood is at stake here. This article in the Daily Mail, Ohio residents hit by a wave of sickness after train carrying these chemicals. You know, I mean, this is just a few weeks after it. This is a few weeks after it. What's going to happen years down the road when people have to drink this water? This just in, woman finds all of her chickens passed away 10 miles from East Palestine, Ohio, following obviously the toxins. All their chickens slowed down and passed away. If they can do that to chickens in one night, imagine what it will do to us in 20 years. Now, a lot of people, you know, perhaps rightfully said, maybe it's all a coincidence. Maybe it's all a coincidence. Sure doesn't feel like it. And it feels like all this ignoring and, you know, thousands of farm animals pass away, people having these mystery illnesses, the cloud that seems to be ever expanding, getting bigger, thousands of fish across just 7 miles passed away. What about now that it's in the Ohio River, allegedly? What's that going to do? What's that going to do to like the plant life in those rivers and stuff like that? How come everyone's just like, yeah, just return home. Just return home. Everybody just return home. No big deal. Just breathe air, breathe the deep. It's absolutely appalling. How deeply connected are these people that own these trains? And why are these people being forced to go back to these areas that certainly seem unsafe at the very, very minimum? Make sure you leave a like on this video. YouTube is certainly suppressing these kind of stories, so make sure you get out there and share it. I'll continue to cover it here, so make sure you turn notifications on, and we'll talk to you again real soon.